Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Jacarè versus Hermansson. But before I get into the fight predictions, I'm going to let you know that I'll be doing another $20 giveaway, but I'm not going to talk about it in the video. I'm just going to tell you that just check the description. I should have it updated within the now I'm gonna have it updated as soon as this video drops of what you had to do to win the $20. And if you already know, it's the same exact thing. If you already know, but if you don't, check the description. I'll tell you exactly what you had to do. But without further ado, let's get into the main card fight predictions. So in our first fight, we have in the lightweight division, Roosevelt Roberts, it's not Roosevelt, it's 2-0. So Roosevelt Roberts versus Thomas Gifford. So in this fight, I'm gonna just be straight up honest. I'm just riding off the hype of Roosevelt Roberts. And looking at Thomas Gifford, I'm saying like probably some tough, gritty wrestler type dude. I'm just getting those vibes. Didn't even have to really look into him. I think he had 14 or 15-7. Not the best competition. And when you look at his record, like whatever circuit he was in or whatever league he was in, like they were having round robins and like everybody beat everybody or everybody beat one guy in the circuit or another guy beat him. Nobody clearly came out of those 5 people and just beat everybody. Like they all had losses to each other, but nobody really just came out supreme above all of them. Maybe Gifford just had the best winning record out of the 5, and somehow he's getting there. But really, I'm not saying nothing too impressive about him. And Roosevelt Roberts is looking like the full package, at least for now. He's undefeated, tall, decent striking, solid grappling, some good physical strength. I'm just gonna ride off the hype. I think he can probably stifle Gifford's wrestling, pick him apart on the feet, and probably get a submission. I think he gets in the second round because I think Thomas Gifford, like I said, is going to be a tough, gritty wrestler. So you got to beat it out of him, beat the fight out of him. But I think he gets him out in the second round. So in this fight, I got Roosevelt Roberts via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, John Lineker versus Corey Sandhagen. And this is a fight that I already predicted, last year maybe. But now they're actually fighting each other again, or not fighting each other again, but fighting each other for the first time, but it's rescheduled to fight each other. That's what I'm trying to say. And in that fight, I picked Corey Sandhagen. In the fight that didn't happen. And in the fight that's happening, or should happen, unless something else happens, I'm picking Corey Sandhagen again. I think he presents a lot of things that can cause Lineker issues. I think he kind of have a Dominick Cruz similar style. I'm not saying he is Dominick Cruz, because no one else is Dominick Cruz, but I think he presents a lot of similar things. He moves well. He's durable. He's a fighter. He's good at changing angles and mixing up attacks, mixing up strikes with takedowns. He's physically, like I said, he's a big physical dude. He's 6'1", a lot of cardio, high volume, good leg kicks, and then a lot of combination on leg kicks. One issue I do have with him is that sometimes, pretty much in most of his fights, he goes straight back at one point, which allows his opponent to land a big strike. And Lineker might have the opportunity, but Corey Sandhagen has shown in all his fights that he recovers well. He's durable. He's not a fighter that's going to quit or just going to be bullying there. He's going to go out there. He's going to fight. He's going to scrap, put that volume on you, mix it up, go for takedowns. In a 3-round fight, that volume is going to be too much for Lineker. I think when you get outstruck 2 or 3-1, and had to deal with getting takedowns mixing on top of that, it's not really going to bode too well for Lineker. When Lineker really wants to do just march you down and throw big hooks to the body and hooks up top versus guys who be moving the whole time and then changing levels and get them up underneath you going takedowns. And don't all these strikes. So you got to first deal with the volume, then you got to deal with the wrestling. In a 3-round fight, that's going to be a huge issue. Also, you're dealing with a young, scrappy fight. You're not dealing with no old, withered fighter who's just going to get hit one time and his body going to break down. This fighter's going to be there the whole time, the whole 3 rounds, just in your face, making you work. And I think Corey Sandhagen just outworks him. So in this fight, I got Corey Sandhagen via decision. Now on to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Glover Teixeira versus Ian Cutelaba. Either way, don't matter. So a lot of people are picking Ian Cutelaba, or at least the odds are favoring Ian Cutelaba right now. When I look at Cutelaba, I think only advantage he has over Glover, even at this age Glover is I think all he has is youth. That's really his only advantage. He might have some power, but really is it the best? Not really. What's really all he does, he uses the fact that he's very young. He's in pretty good shape. He's physically kind of strong. And he just gets in your face. He try to walk you down the whole fight, try to swing on you, try to knock your head off, and just be in your face all the time, make you uncomfortable. But other than that, his striking technique not the best, grappling not the best. So really, he's just relying on his youth. With Glover Teixeira, he's definitely getting up there in age, but he's still a far better grappler, far better technique with his striking, far more experience, far better head. I don't think Ian Cutelaba, he might not be as dumb as he looks or as dumb as he fights, but he doesn't really show a high fight EQ for nothing. Seems like he's kind of a slower fighter. He just goes at it with a basic strategy, as basic as it gets. I think Glover Teixeira can take him down and submit him. I think really the only thing I got to worry about with Glover Teixeira is maybe like his age, maybe his chin might not be there no more. But who has Glover Teixeira really lost to? He lost to, what's his name? Last loss was Corey Anderson, who's on a tear right now. He lost to John Jones, Phil Davis, and Gustafsson. So like he lost only studs, and I don't think Ian Cutelaba presents anything for him. I do worry about the uppercut because it seems like he's not really fixing that area, and at this age he's not. So if Ian Cutelaba does throw an uppercut and show any type of fight IQ and mixes in an uppercut and lands clean, he might have a shot. But other than that, I think Glover Teixeira just takes him down, mauls him, ground and pounds him, then probably carries a rear naked choke or something like that. One of his patented go-to submissions. So in this fight, I think I'm going to say Glover Teixeira gets him out of there first round via submission. So in this fight, again, Glover Teixeira via first round submission. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Alex Olivera versus Mike Perry. So Mike Perry, was he on the skinning now? First he was on a couple losing streak. Then he beat a lightweight and Paul Felder on short notice. And he was back on the winning side. Then he fought Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone submitted him in the first round. Alex Olivera, I think, was on a winning streak. Then he lost and he won. I don't really know where Alex Olivera is coming from right now, but either way, win or loss, whatever they're coming off, they're still the same fighters. It doesn't really matter too much. They're not in a position where they're super desperate, but they're not in a position where they're super confident. But all in all, they're pretty much the same fighters. But yeah, pretty much the same fighters. So Mike Perry, what he has is decent enough wrestling, some decent enough boxing. But we're really good about Mike Perry that he's a fighter and that he has heavy hands. So his boxing might not be all that great as he thinks it is, but it's decent enough for MMA. Got a lot of power. That's really where he stands out. And he's a fighter. Alex Olivera, good move, was a kickboxing background, but still technique not the cleanest, kind of awkward, but he has a lot of power. He's very explosive. One thing about him, he's very physically strong, got some solid ground and pound. So with him, it brings heavy hands. He's a fighter, very strong. So his hard, can strike, has some solid strength to take you down. And if he wants, he could ground and pound. If he does, is at least maybe the better wrestler in the matchup, or maybe you aren't the best wrestler, but whatever cases, that's what they both present. But looking between these two, it seems like Olivera is the more well-rounded fighter. Like Mike Perry seemed like his really only path to victory in fights is to knock your head off or outstrike you. Grappling-wise, he's okay at it, but it's only been at least enough to edge fight from, maybe do some grappling here and there, but it's not a path to victory that's a solid path to victory. It's just an add-on that might edge the fight for him by getting a takedown. It's not a thing where he's going to take you down and control you for 2 minutes of a round. He might get a takedown, control you for 20 seconds, and that might be enough to win the round for him and win the fight for him. But Alex Olivera, I think we have seen him take fighters down and just ground and pound them, get some TKOs. We have seen him go out there and knock people on the feet. Got in a lot of different ways. And between these two other people, one thing kind of makes the fight kind of even harder to call, or at least a little bit difficult to call, is that Mike Perry has solid takedown defense. So if Alex Olivera can't take him down, then that turns into a full-on striking match. So if Alex Olivera can't take Mike Perry down, Mike Perry can't take Alex Olivera down, then the fight becomes more 50-50 with both of them having power, both having solid striking. But one thing I'm going to lead to Alex Olivera on this fight with is the fact that a lot of Mike Perry strikes still are load-up strikes, and Alex Olivera, even though he swings kind of weird and stuff, most of his strikes are straight line strikes, and he's pretty fast, especially coming from the lightweight division. He has pretty fast hands, and most of his strikes come straight down the line. With Mike Perry, most of the shots being load up, those straight shots of Alex Olivera will beat Mike Perry to the punch. And I think Alex Olivera probably hurts him around the second round, and then after hurting him, he's able to get him down. And I think from there, he starts to control him on the ground, land some ground and pound. And I see Alex Olivera getting the victory via second round TKO. So in this fight, I have Alex Olivera via second round TKO. Now to our co-main event we have in the heavyweight division, Greg Hardy versus Dmitry Smoliakov. So Greg Hardy's first fight in the UFC wasn't the most impressive. He lost that fight via DQ, was like a knee to the head. But even before that DQ, I don't think his performance was all that impressive, especially compared to his contender series fights and his fights outside the UFC, his amateur fights, etc., weren't the most impressive. Because when we look at his contender series fights, every time he hit a guy, they would move all the way across the cage, getting knocked out as soon as they get touched by him in any way. Then we got in the UFC, he was landing all types of shots against his last opponent or his debut opponent. And his opponents were pretty much eating those shots. Like, all that power that he had seemed to not be there. I mean, he probably still hits hard, but it wasn't like the fact like, oh, this guy's hitting and moving the world every time he hits somebody. It was like, all right, you had some power, but you ain't knocking over. You didn't really got no knockout power. You know what I mean? You're not no real knockout monster. You didn't really look like the same guy he was on the contention. Because obviously, it was a huge step up in competition. He wasn't fighting other former NFL fighters who was just getting their feet wet. He wasn't fighting these other guys who just ain't have it. He was fighting a guy who may not be all that solid, but at least a guy that has got his feet wet. So Greg Hardy kind of struggled with that guy. And really the fight was pretty close. I'm not saying he wasn't winning, but it wasn't like that dominance you would kind of expect him to go against, especially with a much lower tier heavyweight. I'm not saying lower tier compared to him, but as far as the overall rankings, they were trying to pretty much give him the best footing to come in the UFC. Not give some guy too tough, but a guy he was supposed to beat and really dominate. And he really wasn't dominating. It seemed like he was swinging all his power to his shots. Wasn't really having the effect that he wanted. It seemed like he was tiring. That's probably why he threw the knee, because he felt he needed something to do something in that fight. I'm not saying he was doing it because, he needed a knee out of desperation, but when you're in that fight like that, and you just trying to give it your all, you just get lost in the fight because you got to get something done. Your cardio sinking and like dripping. I mean, not dripping, but your cardio starting to fall out. You starting to get tired. You try to fight. You're not really stop thinking about where your actual position. You're just thinking about, I got to get this guy out of here. And I think he just threw the knee, probably like in a blind, just caught up in the fight. But that being said, it really don't matter too much in this fight, I don't think. I think Greg Hardy's going to look at that fight, come back better. He's fighting a guy in Smoliakov who's about, 36, lost to some questionable competition. Then he fought a guy outside of UFC who's like a negative record or a pretty ugly record and submitted him. So he fought a can outside of UFC. Now he's getting back in the UFC. So I think he's been knocked out twice in the UFC fights. So pretty much guys been brought back in the UFC for Greg Hardy to beat him. Like 36 really hasn't shown too much improvement in anything, and I think Greg Hardy just going to knock him out. I think Greg Hardy's going to prove what he needs to prove, and probably come in focused, come in more hungry, and especially we see with his interviews after the fight day, he's not a cheater, not this, not that, don't want to be labeled as that. So he's really going to be hungry in this fight. So expect probably the best Greg Hardy you ever seen. I'm not saying his performance will be the best you ever seen, but as far as overall his skill set and his mindset is going to be his best you've ever seen. And I just think he runs through Smoliakov, and I'm going to say Greg Hardy via first round TKO. So in this fight, Greg Hardy via first round TKO. Now on to our main event. We have in the middleweight division, I'm just going to say Jacarè Souza. I'm not going to say that Ronaldo. It's Jacarè Souza versus Jack Hermansson. So looking at this fight, you got two guys who love to grapple. Both guys have striking. Souza has shown him much more than UFC, just knocking Chris Weidman out in his last fight, dropping other guys with Derek Brunson, etc., rocking Gegard Mousasi on the feet. Jack Hermansson, for the most part, we look at his finishes, he throws about 2 strikes on the feet, go for a takedown, flatten you out to get a submission or some ground and pounder. That's really what you've seen from the UFC. And again, and we look at what his only loss in the UFC. Well, he had like 2 losses. Got TKO once, the other one, he got submitted by, I guess, the better grappler on that night. But when you look at Hermansson, most of his game coming from grappling, he's just not going to be the better grappler than Jacarè Souza. He's not going to get tired like Tails Lettuce. He's not going to be these other guys. Jacarè is by far the best grappler he's ever fought. And Jacarè is not trying to, he's not at the point where, I'm going to retire. This is his best shot. This is better than fighting Israel Adesanya. This is better than fighting Yoel Romero again. This is a better style match, because this is a guy who's going to try to do what you do. And so it's going to be like, you're not going to do me better than I do me. I'm a world champ, several time world champion at grappling. I'm one of the best grapplers of all time. And I'm not going to make these mistakes. I'm not going to be tricked into this or put on bottom. Even if I am on bottom, I'm going to be able to reverse. You get sweeps. I'm a different tier of grappler. So you think you're going to get a better position on me, you're not going to happen. So I think Jacaré's going to come in good shape, good conditioning, and he's going to beat Jacarè. He's going to take him down, smash his guard, get on top, probably tap Hermansson out. Hermansson has a good streak going on, but none of those people are on the caliber that Jacarè is, and especially when you're trying to beat Jacarè at his own game. I think he might try to, tire Jacarè out. That might be his best attempt. Maybe try to strike a little bit more, maybe try to keep the fight going on. But with Jacarè, as far as his striking, he might get tired on the feet, but on the grappling, he's never tired. He's always conditioned to grapple. So you can't really tire him out in the grappling exchange. I think that's where the fight going to play out. And I think, like I said, I think Jacarè is just on a different level on the grappling. All respect to Hermansson. He's making a quick turnaround and trying to take the best of, take his opportunities. I think he fought, last month, like a week or two ago, and jumping back into a big fight real quick. But All respect to Hermansson, but I think, like I said, I just feel like Jacaré's on a different level. He's going to play Jacaré's game for the most part, and that's not a game he's going to win. And I see Jacarè tapping him out in the second round and earning himself that title shot that he's been looking for so long. So in this fight, I got Jacarè Souza via second round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Jacarè versus Hermansson. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.